There is something that started back at the beginning of May, which is actually a great sign for ADA and other altcoins in the space. And what this is actually pointing towards is us potentially entering a technical alt season here in the month of May. And some people might not be familiar with what that means. And we're going to break that down and how this could pertain to the price of ADA moving forward here. But what I do want to discuss as well is our projections for this early part of 2025 and ADA hitting a new all-time high. And I really do want to discuss when this could in fact take place, because there have been some comments that have come up surrounding this. So if you guys are new or haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, hit that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So first, I want to talk about some of these comments. So back in 2024, we were talking about the early part of 2025 and when ADA could in fact be setting a new all-time high. And I've seen a lot of comments like this. This guy's been saying it would be $2 to $3 by now. Stop listening to this clown. And I find these comments kind of funny because a lot of people actually forget what we were discussing, what we were talking about in terms of ADA. And the big thing that I said back then is if structure holds true, if trends stay consistent, March through May, and guys, it's May 4th right now, not May 31st. And I'll get to this more in just a moment. But sometime during that time frame is when ADA could in fact be setting a new all-time high. Obviously, right now we're at 68 cents. That's not $3. We're not there right now. And people forget all this stuff that's been taking place that has prevented ADA and other assets from performing and doing well right now. All right. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is we have had this barrage of negative news since the early part of December. And apparently people must have amnesia or they forget all this stuff that's been taking place. Just to kind of run you guys through it because I have a pretty darn good memory. We had economic concerns. We had quantum computing concerns with the Willow chip. We had the Trump Melania meme coin suck a lot of liquidity from altcoins. We had the largest liquidation event in crypto history. We had the largest exchange hack in crypto history. We had tariff news. We had more economic uncertainty. We had more tariff news. We had a lot of crap going on that has just beaten the price of the market down to those lows that we experienced back on April 7th. Technically ADA's low was back on February 3rd, and that's a different discussion because ADA's shown a lot of resilience during these past several months. But the point I want to make is that, yes, historically speaking, ADA could have set and may still set an all-time high here during this time frame. But don't ignore the crap that has held ADA and the crypto market back. We've still been in this period where, frankly, we're in a neutral / negative mindset for retail. And retail is one of the most important things to move altcoins. So when retail's not happy, when retail's not excited, you don't see all-time highs. And I don't know why I keep having to explain that and break that down, but apparently this just keeps going over people's heads. Now, that being said, what we are seeing is some great signs. First of all, I noticed this actually while I was prepping to record this video. We did actually have our kind of inverse head and shoulders, not kind of, it wasn't inverse head and shoulders play out here. We got our extension, but now we have an even bigger inverse head and shoulders playing out currently. And when ADA starts to make this breakout, that is when retail starts to get excited. That is when we can start attacking these local highs, these recent high prices that we saw all the way back in December. I'm not guaranteeing or saying that's going to happen for sure, but we're obviously waiting for a major overall shift in the crypto market. And what we are starting to see now is in fact a little bit of a shift. And in fact, since the start of May, what we have actually seen is now the first 25% breach in terms of altcoin dominance. Now, I maybe didn't say that right. I probably didn't say that right, but a technical alt season is when 75% of the top 100 altcoins have been outperforming BTC over the last 90 days. So this has been incredibly low for a very long period of time, right? We've been sitting down around this, 15, 20, 12, just low garbage times in terms of prices. And why that is the case is because when we started to see things drop off at the beginning of February, actually even back here, BTC was showing a lot of resilience. Altcoins were not. And altcoins started to fall pretty significantly. Now, where this changed is as we approached the later part of February, altcoins kind of returned back down to where they were in the early February dip, but BTC started setting some lower lows. In case you guys are curious about what that looked like, look at late February. This is when BTC really fell off a cliff. So now what we're starting to see is us kind of return to that point of balance where you are actually starting to see more altcoins outperform BTC over these last 90 days. ADA, just for context, BTC is actually only up 0.11% in the last 90 days. ADA is down 4.25%. Now, why this is in fact exciting is because as sentiment has improved, if you guys haven't noticed, on a local structure here, a lot of altcoins have actually been outperforming BTC. There have been some ones, for example, virtuals, which, where was that? Or virtual right here, up 17.7% over the last 90 days. It's actually up like, I can't even remember how many hundreds of percent just over the last several weeks alone. So we're starting to see altcoins accelerate. They haven't broken out or broken, some of the February highs yet. Some of them have, but what that is a great sign that sentiment is in fact improving. All right. So what we are now probably going to see is because of how low BTC was in the latter part of February, we're actually going to see a lot of altcoins having outperformed BTC over those last 90 days. Hopefully that makes sense, right? Now, why that's important is, again, that is where we start to see a sentiment shift. And again, when we look back at last year, that's the exact same thing that we saw leading into November. Now, obviously, November, we had a catalyst. We had, the election that caused a lot of excitement. We had embrace surrounding US-based crypto. US-based cryptos ran. ADA, XRP, HBAR, Algo, did I say HBAR? Yeah. XLM. That's the other one I'm missing. And that caused ADA to do a 300% run in 4 weeks. Now, am I saying that that's what's going to happen here again? No, I'm not saying that's going to happen again. Could it happen? Absolutely. And guess what? If ADA does that, guess what? 4x from here, you're talking $3 ADA. There you go. Have a great day, right? But what we also saw is when we started to see this shift take place again back here in late 2023, when we really kicked off this, we'll call it moon mode in terms of altcoins, we saw ADA run 170% over the course of 50 days. So what you're seeing is when the market starts to heat up, when retail excitement starts to actually surge, you tend to see ADA outperform. So I'm not going to sit here on May 4th and say that these prices aren't possible, because they absolutely are, right? 191% move for ADA from where it's at currently is $2 ADA. That is not that far out of the stretch of reality. Okay. You just need the right things to take place. You need the whales to keep defending price. You need retail sentiment to pick up. You need resilience in the market. You need more confidence, I think, from the stock market as well, which has in fact been improving, which is a great sign. But really the biggest thing we need, again, is just a lot of those stables that are on the sidelines to start actually bleeding into altcoins. And the good news is that just continues to accelerate. We just continue to see more and more capital hit the crypto market, but it's on the sidelines. All right. So we have this perfect setup across the space where we can see major breakouts, where you could see ADA go on a run to $2 to $3 over the course of several weeks. It's not that crazy of a thing. All right. In fact, if you start to see major short liquidations, if we start to get into a little bit of that supply shock, like we've been talking about for ADA, this starts to become a lot more obvious. But yet some people, they want to sit here and talk crap. And I really don't care, because that, again, doesn't change what we're doing here. It doesn't change the fact that fundamentals continue to remain strong in the crypto market. And it doesn't change the fact that we're still below 7% of the world in terms of crypto adoption. Frankly, I don't care whether this all-time high takes place in May or June or July. I almost skipped over July. I just care that it happens, that we're making those steps forward. And what we're actually shifting towards more now, I know this video is getting kind of long, I apologize guys, but what we're actually shifting more towards now in terms of time frame is something that is more on par with 2017. And for those who aren't familiar with 2017, what we actually saw was, let me see if I can go back here. What we saw in 2017 was a cycle where kind of around April, May is really where things began to go on a tear. And maybe this isn't the right chart for it, but yeah, right here. Saw things, altcoins during this time begin to go on a tear. This is a BTC chart. We saw kind of a cool down in June, and then July, things began to run again, right? We have structures for what we're seeing right now, but people tend to ignore that. That's okay. You know, there are going to be people that get caught every market cycle thinking that things aren't going to happen, that get caught flat-footed, keep waiting for more downside. And if people want to do that, that's fine. But me personally, I know I'm prepared and ready for what comes next. And I hope you guys are as well. So I appreciate you guys as always. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.